Hey again, everyone. It's Rob Ryder. On Monday, December 27th, 2021, belated Merry Christmas to everyone. I want to spend a little time today talking about cleaning a driving record soiled by insufficient process, which is something I'm trying to do right now, right? Basically, the process that was used, the ticket, the summons, whatever, right, it's insufficient for various reasons. And that's one of the defenses that you have under Rule 12 of the Rules of Civil Procedure, right, where you can motion for dismissal because of insufficient process. And then in that motion, then you give the facts and the law that back up your claim. And so basically, you're telling the court to take judicial notice of certain facts and laws that show that the process was insufficient. And, if they agree, well, then, clean up the driving record. So more on that in just a second. I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rutluski, U.S. Army veteran, also known as Rob Ryder. And my email address is courtofrecord@aol.com, courtofrecord@aol.com. Easiest way to get a hold of me. And, so this idea of insufficient process just isn't for driving records. In fact, I'm using it right now in a court case in New York, the foreclosure case I talked about before, where we've filed a motion for insufficient process that the judge has taken notice of and is going to make a ruling on. That'll be in my next video. She hasn't ruled yet, but my next video we'll talk about that specifically. But what else can that idea be used for? I think it'd be used to clean up a driving record, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So here's what happened with me. Right back in July, I had asked for a certified copy of my driving record, which you can get in Michigan, online, paying $12. They'll send you a copy of your driving record. And I got my driving record, and it showed that, whatever they were calling my license was actually my state identification, right? It doesn't say operator's license, which is something that we have in Michigan. It says state ID, which I do have, which said it was my license. So I was surprised that, they would consider my state ID my driver's license. I'm okay with it, but that's what happened. And it shows that it's expired, which it has. I've not gone down and ever had it updated because, I was losing interest. But, that's where it is. Well, you go to the status and you got non-commercial license suspended and commercial license disqualified. And then state ID is just expired. Well, so I wish I had the thing updated so I could see what they would actually say. Right? So this is something that maybe somebody else that will do this in Michigan will share their findings, and we'll see what it looked like before and after. My point is that this, it's just part of the license or part of the record. But it went on to say that I had the citation, this 1940-53, which suspended from this date, my license indefinitely. Right? And so it's like, well, what the hell, man? And so it was for failure to appear at court, failure to appear for trial, registration of plate violation. This one just didn't have anything, just suspension. Right? So I got these three different records, all saying that I failed to comply somehow, some way. Right? Failed to appear at court, drove by a license not valid or improper license. Four of them. Right? I got these four different records, all saying that my license has been suspended indefinitely. Well, all of this was based on a citation that I had gotten back in 2019, right? And, I'd shown this before in videos that, it said that I had an operator's license, which I don't. I don't have an operator's license. I have an operator's license in Michigan. I have a state ID. It just said so on the other page. All right, it doesn't have my social security number, but there's a spot there. So it's like, well, how can you say it's me if you don't have my social security number? And it's got a place for hair, but I guess that's not on the license. That wasn't that big a deal. But then it went on to say the person named above in violation of some local ordinances, right? Didn't say state law, didn't say administrative rule, said it local ordinances, right? In Greenville, right? City of Greenville, that I violated these ordinances. Well, these numbers here are not ordinances of the city of Greenville. Then it went down to say that, I had these offense codes, which they look a lot like the Michigan compiled laws codes, except for it to be a proper citation, it has to have MCL 7 or 257.310. Right? Otherwise, it's an improper citation of a state law. So there is no state law being cited, is my point. It just appears that there is. Right? There is no local ordinance. There's just some numbers here that if you agree that's an ordinance, well then, you agreed it's an ordinance. And both of these are misdemeanors. Well, then what, local ordinance is it? What's the jurisdiction that these numbers are under? Because they're not in the code of the city of Greenville. Anyways, you keep going on this ticket. I mean, because this is a thing called the State of Michigan Uniform Law Citation. So they hand them out to everybody. This is what they use to give you a ticket. Check if appropriate, keep going, and said this was an appearance certificate. Okay, appearance date. On or before that time of that date. Now, pay attention now, right? Because if you show up at on 3/14/2019 at 8:01 a.m., you're late and you're in contempt of court. Right? You have to be on or before that time. Right? But it said to go to the 64B District Court, Montcalm, CO. Well, there's no such court named, that's not the name of any state court. That was my point at the time. This isn't the name of a state court. He gives his phone number here, right? The cop didn't use his full legal name, didn't sign it. And at the bottom it says compliance is voluntary. So what's up? But this is what they had given me. And, well, sometime later, let's see, we got a date on this? I don't think so. Right, birth date, violation date. All right, so sometime later, I get this from, I guess, 5/6/2019, suspended indefinitely. Right, from the state. I didn't get anything from the court. All right, I never got a notice to appear, nothing from the 64B District Court. In fact, it says I didn't have a hearing. There was no hearing date. Right, and the violation is drove while licensed or unlicensed or licensed not valid. Well, that's really not the violation, because it should be like this, some MCL number. Right, what MCL, what Michigan compiled law did I violate? Or what local ordinance did I violate? There's nothing there. It's just words. Anyways, it said, for me to report to the 64B District Court, and it gives this phone number, 7450, which isn't the same number on the ticket, and it's not the same number, or same name of the court. Well, and I want to show one other thing. You go back to this original certified copy of my driver's record. It says the court is Stanton 64B District Court. Well, the Stanton 64B District Court and the 64B District Court Montcalm CO and the 64B District Court, none of those are courts of Michigan, because Michigan has an act where it created one district court and numerous, like 90 plus, judicial districts of that court. But there's no court named the 64B District Court. Right? There may be a 64B judicial district of the District Court of the state of Michigan, but there's no 64B District Court. This is all going into some private frickin' jurisdiction that, I choose not to be part of. This is the state of Michigan, which is part of the United States of America, which is all part of King George's jurisdiction. Right, so, has this got a date on it? this? Yeah, 5. So this was 5/18 or 5/8, 2018. Right, registration plate or plate violation, same thing. No hearing date. Didn't have a hearing. To a court that doesn't exist for violations that don't exist. Right, so that's what I was dealing with. I said, what am I going to do about that? Well, I had found this form about motion to set aside default judgment and order for civil infraction. And that's what I thought I would do. I was going to go ahead and fill this thing out and, put in a motion and complain and put down here the following as my defense, right, that it was an insufficient process. So before I did that, I said, well, I want to contact the court, see if they'll send me some paper because I don't have anything from this court. Right, so I contacted the court administrator. Right, I need a copy of 19-4053, which is identified as a court file on one document and a citation on another, both of which I'm in possession of. What I do not have is the contents of court file 19-4053, and as far as I can tell, the 64B District Court never sent me any information regarding this matter, so I don't know who my accuser is. I asked the clerk of the court of the district court, but you do not have one listed, right? This thing about the district courts in Michigan, they don't tell you who the clerk of the court is. They'll tell you who the court administrator is, because when you read the law, these judicial districts are administrative offices or administrative units of the Superior Court or of the Supreme Court. That's what the law says. It doesn't say Supreme Court State of Michigan, it just says, Supreme Court lowercase. So it's like, okay. Well, then who's the clerk of the district court? Because, these administrators are over these administrative units, but they're not the clerk. I'm a real party in interest to allege failure to comply to some codes that are neither state law or local ordinance. Right? I ask that you please do whatever it takes to get me a copy of the documents filed in the case so I can prepare my motion to set aside or other relief. Right? That was my plan. Right? And I sent this, and the person I sent it to, she called me Mr. Radlewski. I'm no longer serving as court administrator, although her name was on the website. But she sent it to the guy, Brandon, that's supposed to be the new deputy administrator. So, because she called me Mr. Radlewski, I had to correct her. Just don't ever let an esquire call you Mr. Right? That's all part of that British class system where an esquire is not an office title of nobility, but it is a crown agent. Right? He works for the crown. He's not the crown. And an esquire is above a mister, which is a rank in the British system below an esquire that doesn't have any rights. So you don't want him to call you an esquire. So, I always tell him that, thank you, esquire. Right? For the record, I'm not a mister as in Mr. Radlewski. I'm not a member of the democracy. I am a U.S. Army veteran, as in Staff Sergeant Radlewski, U.S. Army veteran, and a citizen of the United States under the Republican form of government. Have a peaceful day. Okay, so I had sent that, and then she sent it to this other guy who got it. And then, now this is Jason Evans. That isn't who she said she was going to send it to, but he's the one writing me back, who had been appointed the new district administrator. Mr. Ryder, I received your email, which was forwarded to me from the previous court administrator. If I understand correctly, you're asking for a copy of your entire file. Unfortunately, by law, we cannot provide the entire contents of the file. Specifically, your driving record, which is in the file, must be ordered through the Secretary of State. Okay, well, I already have a copy of that. Right? So you currently have a bench warrant for your arrest because you failed to comply with an order of this court by failing to appear. It is recommended that you turn yourself in on that warrant, then come to the 64B District Court in person to obtain the file information you're requesting. Failure to first clear your current bench warrant will, by law, prevent you from getting any of your criminal history expunged or obtaining your file information. So the 64B District Court issued a bench warrant against me, apparently, for a uniform law citation that wasn't from their court. It's like, well, what the hell is this all about? I know what it's about. It's about getting money out of your pocket. So I wrote him back, said, Magistrate, I'm not a Mr. as in Mr. Orlowski or Mr. Ryder. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, citizen of the United States. Take judicial notice of the fact that I'm still a member of the Armed Forces of the United States, and I'm a protected person under the Geneva Conventions, and I claim the privilege of trial by court-martial. You can use my title, Staff Sergeant Berlusky, in the future correspondence. 64B District Court is not the name of the court I was directed to appear, and I was never properly served anything from a Michigan court. I already have a certified copy of my driving record, and it does not list any state law or local ordinance violations, but instead some number sequences for a jurisdiction that is foreign to me. I am not a subject to the democracy. Take judicial notice of the simulated legal process that counterfeits a uniform law citation, right? So that's an insufficient process. Another name for it is a simulated legal process that initiated my persecution that I have attached to this email. This document does not have any proper citation of a Michigan compiled law or City of Greenville ordinance, and it directs me to appear to a private tribunal named 64B District Court, Montcalm, CO. Magistrate, is it your testimony that the 64B District Court, Montcalm, CO is a court whose judicial officers have satisfied the requirements of the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States? If you do, then you are an enemy of the United States and will soon be in a FEMA camp, because obviously, those people, there is no state court called the 64B District Court, Montcalm, CO. But any judicial officer in Michigan has to have executed an oath to satisfy the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States. All state judicial officers. And as it turns out, that includes attorneys. Well, none of them have done it. Right? They have to have the proof. They have to have the certificate, excuse me, or the record to prove that they have. So, if not, then you do not have a bench warrant against me. You have the result of a malicious prosecution by persons impersonating as Michigan judicial officers. Whoever issued the bench warrant, if they weren't a state officer, is impersonating one if they believe that they've issued a bench warrant against me in Michigan. Right? That's my perception. I suggest, for your safety, you rescind the bench warrant immediately and arrest the public officer imposters. See Michigan Compiled Law 75217C, which talks about simulated legal process and impersonating public officers. You, magistrate, have a duty to me, a member of this nation's armed forces, to clear my good name and prosecute the judicial officer imposters responsible for my damages. So you email me today what you can to file out prove malicious prosecution with evidence in my application to the judge. So anyways, this is all happening back in on November 18th. Well, a few days later, when was the envelope? Right, on the 22nd, right, which is the same day that I'm writing these things. On that day, this letter gets mailed to me from the state of Michigan Department of State that says that state law has recently changed to modify when a driver's license may be suspended following certain convictions for failure to appear in court or failure to comply with a judgment as a result of some violations. Our records indicate that you have one or more violations that qualify under this new laws. In accordance with state law, your driving record has been updated, and the related suspension and any applicable reinstatement fees have been terminated, effective October 1st, 2021. So the envelope says 11/22. The letter inside says it was written on 11/14, which was, before I was contacting the 64B District Court, and telling me that effective October 1st, 2021, my license had been reinstated. Well, why are you waiting until 11/14/2021 to tell me that? Well, that was my question. And actually, I believe this, that if they pass these laws, they had been passed much sooner in the year, or much earlier in the year. So, how come it wasn't until like October 1st that, that they were terminating the violation of the suspensions that were in my record? So while you're eligible to drive, provided you have a valid unexpired driver's license, and there are no other open actions on your driving record, you're still responsible for any outstanding court fees or requirements resulting from traffic citations. Please follow up with the appropriate courts that reported the violations. All right, if you'd like to purchase a copy of your record, this is how you do it. Well, unfortunately, this is just how shit works sometimes. Back when I did it in July, no problem. I got my record. Since then, for whatever glitch there was, I had to go and redo my password and so forth for online access to be able to do these things through the state. Well, they're not letting me put Robert Allen in the first name box now. They want me to put Robert in one box and Allen in the middle box. And I don't want to do it. Right? So I got this little tiff going on with them, so I can't get another copy online because I'm going through that right now. So, I don't know if there's anything still on the record, but I do know that it said that some of the things were taken off the record. So, what does that mean for me right at this point? Well, apparently I got to do this motion to set aside. But if this form is supposed to be for the one district court of the state of Michigan, which there is no 64B district court. There's a 64B judicial district of the state court or of the district court of the state of Michigan. But there isn't a 64B judicial or 64B district court. So, in fact, I've asked this question today of my state representative of this area that I'm in. In fact, let me look at that. Hang on just a second. Take a quick look. That's what I said to him. Representative Posthumus, I'm a constituent of yours, a U.S. Army veteran domiciled in Oakfield Township, Michigan, United States, a place within the territorial district you claim to represent as a member of the Michigan legislature. I'm sure you're familiar with the Michigan legislature website and know that it is a source that your constituents can access for Michigan compiled statutes, public acts, constitutions, and the like. Chapter 81 of Act 236 of 1961 establishes a district court and divides the state into judicial districts, right? And so there it is. In there it says that in section, this is the very first section, that a district court is established in the state. The district court is a court of record. The state is divided into judicial districts of the district court, each of which is an administrative unit subject to the superintending control of the Supreme Court. According to Section 8130, I reside in the 63rd District Judicial District. This act of the Michigan legislature makes clear there is only one district court for the state of Michigan. Therefore, the 63rd District Court cannot be a judicial district court created by an act of the state legislature, as there is only one district court, but many judicial district administrative units. I have business with the 63rd District Court, administrative unit, and the clerk of the District Court of the State of Michigan. But their identity is hid from me, and I am denied due process. I need you to reveal this hidden information to me. It is your jurisdiction, so what is the administrative unit's contact information? And who's the clerk of the court of the one district court created by the members of the Michigan legislature? Well, one of these guys, assistants called me a bit ago today, and we're talking about this. And he said, well, maybe the district court is the Supreme Court of, the state of Michigan. He's not an attorney, and he's just reading along. And that's what. So he's off trying to figure out what this is. I say, okay, well, I agree with that. right? But it's still not the 63rd District Court, right? It's the Supreme Court. So basically, what court do I need to send this to, right, to have it in the state court? And another thing is it talks about court address. We got to look at one other thing then. Right, in Bouvier's Law Dictionary, in chancery pleading, right, the address is the part of the bill which contains the appropriate and technical description of the court where the plaintiff seeks his remedy. Right, the appropriate and technical description of the court. Well, that would be the District Court of the State of Michigan. Or, whatever the proper name is of the court that this act was supposed to have created. All right, here's the act. District Court. Right, the district court is established in the state. A district court is established in the state. Now, the thing that they're not telling us also is that these judicial districts are actual election divisions also. Right, so that, you're supposed to be a qualified and registered elector of your judicial district. So, the question is, and there's lots of questions, but okay, well, if each of these entities is actually an administrative unit, like the 63rd Judicial District is an administrative unit, that would make sense why it has a court administrator instead of a court clerk, right? Because it's just an administrative unit. But what's the proper name of the Supreme Court that has superintending control over that administrative unit? And that's what I want this I want my state representative to tell me, because they're the ones responsible for the frickin' all these acts in the first place, right? This is the act of the legislature. So that's what's going on. I'm going to take this motion to set aside document and fill it out the best I can and just send it to the 64B District Court and see what they do with it. Right, and put in a motion that says the following defenses, right, and my defense will be that it's an insufficient process. Did I show that? We got to look at that real quick. Right, Rule 12 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. So every state is going to have something that's similar to this. It may not be Rule 12, but, in New York, I know it's not Rule 12, but I think in Michigan, it is Rule 12. Where it talks about defenses and objections, right? And that, you go down here where it talks about how to present defenses. Every defense to a claim for relief in any pleading must be asserted in the responsive pleading if one is required. But a party may assert the following defenses by motion, one of which is insufficient process. Right? Lack of personal jurisdiction, lack of subject matter jurisdiction, improper venue. All those things might be true. Could be true. But I'm saying, well, the one that happened first is the process was wrong. All these other things would happen afterwards, or could happen afterwards. But the one that's wrong is it was insufficient process. You really didn't serve me, so I don't have to answer. Right? And until I'm properly served, I can't tell you it's that the court has lack of subject matter jurisdiction, or a lack of personal jurisdiction, or insufficient service of process, or failure to state a claim, because, I didn't get a proper process to start with to say that any of those things are wrong with it. It's just an insufficient process, period. So that's what that's what I'm using, and this is what we used in a court case for a foreclosure in New York, and now the judge is going to have a hearing on it, or the judge is going to make a ruling on what we put in, and that'll be in my next video. But for this one, I just want to keep it to things to do with, driving records and so forth. So, if you're in Michigan, get your certified driving record and take a look at it. And if you find like mine, where it's not showing that you violate any state law or local ordinance, then it's time to start bitching. And this is the old one. This is from July. All these things have happened in between. And like I said, here on the 14th of November, I get this letter saying that backdated October 1st, right, all of these suspensions had been terminated, along with any reinstatement fee. But what I don't know yet is if I still have a bench warrant. So that's what I'm going to try to find out by doing a motion. Okay, I'll leave it there. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for listening.